Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining our session on what changes when Anthropic enters the cyber game. I'm Ron Peled, co-founder of Sola Security, and I'm really glad to be here with Rinki Sethi, CISO at Upwind Security. Quick note, given the situation in the Middle East and repeated sirens in this area, we choose to pre-record the session and make sure that the conversation could run smoothly without interruptions. So, without further ado, this conversation feels pretty timely for now because Anthropic officially announced stepping into the cybersecurity arena, positioning Claude not as just a general AI assistant, as magical as it is, but something that can help security teams identify and fix vulnerabilities in code. And that's a meaningful shift for us in this industry. And for a long time, AI has been something security teams have been experiencing with on the side, but it looks like this is going to change things for how security teams actually operate. And Rinki, as the CISO of Upwind, is also a four-time CISO who has led security at companies like Twitter, Rubrik, Bill, and build security programs at global scale across Fortune 500 environments, including companies like IBM, Walmart, eBay, which is super, super impressive. The rare combination, I think, of executive leadership and hands-on product security experience with that track record of building security team is not something that you find every day. So I'm really happy to have you here with us, Rinki. I think if you follow Rinki on social media, you probably know that she talks a lot about context and trust and resiliency and what actually matters in production. And that's exactly where why this conversation matters. Because companies like Anthropic entering the conversation, it's not just how, but what new tools appear. Do we get more clarity or just more noise? Do we make any better decision going forward, or are we going to have a faster decision? So we have a lot to speak about, and we're going to unpack that with Rinki, hopefully. So thank you for joining us, Rinki. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for the kind intro, Ron, and appreciate the resilience on your end too, and being flexible in recording this.
Thank you so much. You just got back from RSA. I was unable to travel this time. How was it? How was the experience?
It was good. I don't know if you can hear it. I keep coughing. I lost my voice on the first day of RSA because it started on Sunday night for me, all the activities, but I lost my voice and I'm still recovering, but it was an amazing RSA.
Yeah.
We missed you, brother.
Yeah, I missed you guys too. And hopefully next time it will be a big party and super collaborative for everyone. I wanted to ask, I follow your posts, obviously, and you talk a lot about teams that already deal with too much noise, and I agree with that, of course. Do you think that more AI will bring more clarity, or it's going to be more noise but fueled by AI?
I hope both. I think what we're seeing right now is there's just an explosion of data, right? There's so much data, and AI is generating even more data. Everybody's using LLMs for something or another, and it's generating a lot more data. And so then with more data, without the right security tooling, you're going to have a lot more noise. The promise is, right, that AI should be helping us with clarity, meaning that if we apply AI to this data, then that should help security teams with context and getting kind of more narrow on what they need to look at. And I hope that there's a promise in the future around that. I see a lot of companies building in this space to help security practitioners go and make sure that you've got the right tooling, and AI is being leveraged in the security program. But 100%, the data explosion is real, right? We're seeing it everywhere. It's why there's so much innovation happening too in the cybersecurity space right now.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you think that the AI is going to shift the bottlenecks elsewhere? I mean, today, as security practitioners, we have to deal with tons of data, mountains of data, and I think that AI is starting to help us solve this. Wondering if you think it will shift the bottleneck somewhere else from data.
It's really interesting. I think that it really, like, when I think about security leaders right now, it was funny. Security used to be a bottleneck. It's not anymore. It's really like the enabling function for AI within an organization beyond security use cases on how do we make sure we have the right guardrails? How do we make sure that the input and output is being sanitized? How do we make sure that we're doing this in a safe manner? And so I think the real bottleneck is going to be like innovation keeping up, allowing us to leverage the data. There's so much data out there that how do we leverage AI to come up with the things that are going to be really important? And I think that's going to be like where you apply the innovation in your tech stack is going to be, I think, where you decide. So I don't know that data is going to be the bottleneck. I see this ending up being that there's going to be some really cool solutions we can put in place to help with making use of the data.
Yeah, and you, as I mentioned, you talk a lot about context and the fact that the context really matters more than volume. And I was wondering if you could share what, in your opinion, helps the team understand what actually matters out of those giant friction or fragmented pieces of information that all the tools are swamping us with.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think about even simple things, right? Like right now, if someone's using, let's say, like a malicious tool in the organization, it'll pop up an alert and everybody will jump on it. I mean, why aren't you now should have the context that, oh, that was a malicious tool. It's from your red team that is doing something that they should be doing, nothing to be alarmed in. It's like in a sandbox environment and they were intentionally doing this. And you should have all that context, and not just the context anymore, right? Because even with the context, the volume might be high. It's like, give me actionable intel. So then also recommend, hey, you can probably ignore this because here's all the context. And here you can probably ignore this alert because it's fine. This is behavior as normal in your environment. And yet, like, this is still like a table stakes issue, right? And so this is where context is so important, that like just getting alert, think about the hours that people will waste going in, having to dig up this stuff that honestly should be provided, right up front, so that we can then spend our time on the more important things.
Yeah, I have a lot of horror stories that I'm sure that you do as well. And I can share that we've been working lately on making sure that context really gets into the front seat before other things. And we realize that not all the organizations and environments are equal. For some people, cloud can be the most important crown jewel, and for others, something else can be a crown jewel. And I think that today, with all the hype and the excitement right now around AI and what AI can introduce into security teams, I think that the struggle is with understanding what matters and what to do next. So as a CISO with so many years of experience, and you've seen things, do you think that AI can help us with that as CISOs and practitioners to understand the context as we would as humans?
Yeah, I think that right now you're going to still require, and had you asked me even 6 months ago, like Ron, I think you mentioned it at the beginning, like the world has changed over the last 6 months, I would say, even in terms of the advancements that have happened with AI. And not many of us could have predicted it. And so now when you ask me, are there going to be things that we can do without human in the loop? I think so. But I still think for most security use cases based on tooling now, you're still going to need a human in the loop at least for the foreseeable future. What I will say, what AI is helping with though, like, I can't tell you the number of times I've been asked when like as a CISO, a big enterprise, you have an opportunity to go buy any tooling you want. Like you can go and say, okay, I want to go buy this product. The product is usually like not cheap, and you need people to operate that product. And so then you're going back and saying, okay, I can get this tool that I'm going to have to bring in. It's going to cost me a certain amount of dollars, and I need a team to operate it. And then you're going to need partnerships within the company to go and integrate and build this stuff. It doesn't happen overnight. It's why this is so difficult. I think what AI is shifting now, and I'm happy about this because I've always been a huge advocate for small and medium-sized businesses, that a lot of times those companies struggle because they hit a security breach. They don't have the staff, they don't have the tooling. And I think what AI is going to enable is to have some kind of like, here, now you don't need to necessarily have this large security team or have to have these platforms. You can bring on something that's for builders and go and put it in their environment so that they have some table stakes security in place. And I think that's the game that's going to start, we're going to see shifting. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I totally agree. And I'm happy that we see that the same, that we share the same on that. Here's a question that in light of Anthropic and Claude Code announcing they're stepping into the industry and what that's done to all the stock market and everything, it's pretty amazing impact, don't you think?
It's insane, right? Like, I don't know what you were doing when that news came out. I mean, you're kind of like, oh, this is cool. Like they were able to build something like this overnight. And then you see the market crash and you're like, it only makes you laugh, right? Because you're like, why are all these people that don't understand cybersecurity selling off their cybersecurity shares? Because like, gosh, that's like one small little aspect of cybersecurity, right? Like think about how broad this industry is and how many problems we need to solve. This is one small thing. I think the cool part was to see a company like that take the initiative to see how quickly this could be built in a certain particular aspect. And so for me, I was like excited that they did that. And it makes me more excited about existing cybersecurity companies, but the market crash made no sense. It's like really like all these people that have never practiced cybersecurity are now like betting on come on.
Do you feel like something has changed for security practitioners in that context, like for CISOs or for security engineers? Did that change anything in their mindset of or the way they observe AI now?
I think security practitioners have been thinking about this for a while. You know what I think has been interesting shift, and it's not because of the release of the code security product. A lot of people I'm talking to now, and I don't want you to go and look at the agents I've built because you're going to say that they're not secure, but I like everybody's kind of becoming a builder. And I think it's important. You know, we always say like as leaders, like you don't want to be fully hands-on because you're not going to like see the big picture and you're not able to lead. But I think we're at a point where you have to understand how to build so you understand how this technology works so you can lead appropriately. And I think a lot of security practitioners right now have gone into build mode and they're like, we want to see what we can build right now. I think there's going to be a balance that hits because you can't have a bunch of stuff that you build, and enterprise security products is going to have a combination, but there is still a lot of security use cases you can take on by being a builder. And I think like people are testing it out and testing out the power. And I actually think that's a really important thing for folks to do, to like reduce the FUD that exists in the market around, or like just the marketing stuff that they're hearing, to be like, okay, that's not hard to do that. I can build that myself, but here's where the value that my security vendors are providing me. So I do think that like everybody's like, you know, I hope everybody is going back and saying like, let's build and play with these tools to see what's possible. But I think that happened before that announcement. You know, I think practitioners have been thinking about AI and, you know, what's possible with AI. So I think it's like a really interesting time for builders.
I totally agree with that as well. And I think I speak to many CISOs as well and many practitioners. And I think that this announcement by Anthropic actually introduced a fuel into the builder's mentality, like you mentioned. Today, I see many more security teams that are actually practicing. If until couple of months ago, it was an idea. They were still focusing on AI as a threat and as a risk. I think that we're starting to see the shift since then. And I also read the other day a really interesting thread on Reddit about security teams. Are you using Claude Code? Are you using Cursor and other tools as builders? And the thread is just keeping populating itself, and it's really interesting and nice to see. And with that, I wanted to ask maybe the most favorable question in this interview is if you had to build a security team from scratch today in an AI-first world, how would you structure it differently, if at all? And in terms of roles, workflows, and what wouldn't you do anymore if you had to build a new security team?
It's interesting because, like, Ron, that's what I'm doing, right? Like I'm getting to build, and when I say from scratch, I'm in a new role and like building out a security team and a security function. Initially, like my always thought process was like bring in a leadership team, go and like start looking at a strategy, and of course like company size and things like that matter, and like regulatory requirements. So I'm not going to oversimplify things. But if you're like building a team from scratch, I think it's so exciting to be like, you know what? I'm in the past, you always had to augment with people and all that stuff. Now, I think a lot of things have been like, what can AI do for me? Like maybe bring in a few builders to build your engineering tech stack within cybersecurity and within your team. And I think you could do a lot with very little. And I think like where you bring in people is going to be kind of to do the more difficult things that AI today can't catch, like AI, like doing threat hunting, doing more of the strategic work. And I think it's a really interesting time. But in terms of tools, man, I would look at everything new. I'm super excited about the innovation that's happening, and like how can we do this at like efficiencies that we've never seen before.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I had a question about what do you think is going to happen with the fact that, again, you've been to RSA now, and I don't know if you were able to even count the fact that every vendor, not even every other vendor, is talking about AI and the power of AI. What do you think about that? Like add AI on top of everything, and that versus things like cloud code security and the new generation of native AI tools or native AI solutions that are being currently introduced into the market?
It's interesting, like, when you hear about, I think about this really different. First of all, I think every company has to transform to be an AI company. We saw really big security companies choose to rename or rebrand and add AI in their company name. You have to, right? You have to think about it.
Yeah.
The crazy part was like, I just heard a talk, and it was like from a very large cybersecurity company, and what they would have to do with their engineering team to drive efficiencies and have them adopt AI would, like, in order to improve efficiency by 20%, they would have to like get AI across this engineering team, which is really large, just to be able to compete with a cybersecurity startup that's only 5 people that has millions of dollars of revenue, right? And so that's like insane when you think about an AI native company and what's achievable and how fast they're able to move and like what they're able to build. And like think about the cost of that product, how like innovative it must be, and then this, like the mountains that have to be moved in these large enterprises. Now, I think there's space for both. So like we're going to continue to need the large enterprise, like cybersecurity companies. But now I think with this new bill, the barrier to entry for a practitioner that wants to do so many things has limited time and budget. Like, wow, is there so much innovation happening right now with AI in the cybersecurity space that you can actually go and afford something and still be a one-person show and build all these things.
I can tell you as a builder and as a founder that one of the things that we see is the really quick adoption of users to the level of expectations that generic LLMs bring. And each one of us is using a handful of generic AI assistants and tools and so on and so forth. And it seems like everything is moving on, I don't know, it's something between 10x to 100x in terms of the velocity. And I think that security teams today are starting to feel that need to get the same user experience and the same outcome that they have with tools like Gemini, ChatGPT, and so on. And I wrote about it as well, that I think that today, if a security team or a security practitioner cannot answer the fundamental and most basic questions about their environment and kind of get a solid answer within less than 2 minutes, they should question their own stack and their own solutions. What do you think about that statement or approach?
100% agree with you on that. Yeah. It's so funny. We're so entitled, right? Like as humans, because like if you ask if you like if you asked a few years ago if you can find answers within a couple hours, it's like, yes, you won. Now, like with AI and LLMs, you're getting things within seconds, right? And so now the expectation from the practitioners is like, I want it now. Like, why can't you give it to me now? These things are giving me whatever I need now. So I actually love the fact that we're like so entitled and expecting these things so quickly that I agree with you. Why can't we? Why can't we like get the answer within, I think you said minutes. I think it's going to become like minutes is going to become too long.
Yeah, that's probably the case, and we see that really the transformation is so quick. It's really hard to track it even as professionals. Maybe last question: if you had like a golden tip for the security teams out there today in the era of AI, and what's ahead of us is a bit challenging in terms of planning. But if you had to give one direction to the ones that are kind of planning their next few weeks or months, what would you tell them to focus on?
I'll give you the same advice that I got recently, which helped me a lot, which is like, I do think it's really important as leaders to become builders and understand the power of agents and AI ourselves. And it doesn't have to be security use cases. Go use it for anything. Understand what the power is, come up with crazy ideas and just see what you can do. Because that's the only way I think we're going to be able to lead our teams for the future and really understand like how transformational this technology is. It doesn't change everything, right? You're not going to rip out all your tooling and replace it. But I do think it helps you build for the future. So I do think this is the time to encourage people to build and get very comfortable and understand the capabilities so that we can like make sure that we're going to build security. We're not playing catch up, but we're building for the future. And what our expectations of like security companies should be is only going to come from a really deep understanding of the current tech stack. So I think that's really important. It's interesting because we went through these things with cloud as well. Like you need to understand the cloud to understand how it's fundamentally different than building on-prem. But I think this is like a much faster transformation that we're going through. So that's my biggest advice for everybody right now is like, if you haven't played with this stuff, I think it's really important time to.
Absolutely. Rinki, thank you so much for your time. I know that you're busy. And guys, thank you for joining us. If you don't follow Rinki, do this immediately. It's golden tips and golden content right off the bat without joining any webinar. So thank you so much. As always, it was great having you, and we'll speak soon.
Yeah, Ron, it's an honor to do this with you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.